All right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rosemary Cundiff Brown. I'm former PhotoPro Network president and current co-chair for our print competition committee, along with Jennifer Palumbo, who's also participating as one of our judges today. And we're going to be doing a preliminary summer print critique and competition, meaning that this is not an actual print competition. It is a digital submission. And the entire idea of doing the print critique for summer is so that we can help images be better prepared for the actual PhotoPro Expo print competition, which takes place in January. And then hopefully you can move those images on to either our Southeast District or our PPA, International Print Photographic Competition, and even things like WPPI and other organizations. So we're going to do a little abbreviated. If you've ever sat in on print competition, you know it can get rather lengthy. We have 102 images to go through today. And our judges are Jonathan Brown with Monarch Photography, Jennifer Palumbo, who I introduced earlier, former president of PhotoPro Network and current co-chair with me on the print competition committee, Miss Linda Durham, also a past PhotoPro Network president, and Brent Lewis is coming in today. Both Linda and Brent were also our speakers today at the Pikeville event, and that's where we are remote streaming from. If you have any questions during the print competition, you can put on the little chat button and ask, and we'll try to get to those. We will be giving away prizes for our Hot Shots top photographer, which is the person who has the 4 highest scoring overall images. We'll also be giving a prize to the person who has the single overall highest scoring image. And then we will be giving a prize for our overall winner of portrait, overall winner of wedding, and overall winner of illustrative, or what we call our gallery images, which are things that are non-portraits, things like your landscapes and flowers and animals and things like that. And of course, we don't have enough time to cover every single thing about print critique today. That's why you can certainly email any of us on the board of directors, email Jennifer or myself, Facebook us, call us, whatever you need to do, because we're here for you. We want you to be a part of the print competition, and we want you to further your craft when it comes to photography. So what I wanted to do first is very quickly, I've had the 12 elements of a merit image on the screen. You can also access those on our PhotoPro Network website and as well as our PPA.com, Professional Photographers America, on there. But these are the 12 elements that your judges, your jury panel, always look to when they are scoring an image. And you can read those on your own. We will be recording this, and you can access this. I'll be posting the recording of it later. But kind of go through these. Hopefully, you've had a little bit of time to go through these, or will when you access them online. But we look at things like impact and technical excellence, of course, extremely important. Creativity. We look at the style of the image. We look at certainly how the image is composed. We also look at presentation. We have a YouTube video that Jonathan and I put together to show how to properly do your keystroke and your border and your mat to better your presentation of your image. They also look at certainly color balance, your center of interest, and you'll hear our judges talk about that, exactly about, where is my eye being focused on when I look at this image? There certainly needs to be a center of interest. Lighting, of course, extremely important. Also, your subject matter choice, your technique on your approach is used, how to create the image, how it was printed. Of course, we do physical prints for PhotoPro Expo. And then finally, your storytelling. What are you trying to evoke in this image when it comes through and these judges look at it? So we will regularly rotate our judges, just kind of give them a little bit of a break. So at any given time, you're going to have 3 scores, and those scores are going to come together, and they're going to give you a preliminary score. And I'm trying to move this here. Well, hold on a second. There we go. All right. Our PhotoPro Network scoring guide, when they assign a score, and of course at Expo we do ribbons. We have blue ribbons for anything that gets a merit. And then, Jennifer, is it next down is green or red? I can never remember. Green is next. And then red is also sort of your third slot. That's for your excellent. So, or for your above average, your average, right? Gosh, it's so many things to remember around here today. Exceptional is if you get a score of 100 down to a 95, and those are really the cream of the crop images. If you get 100, you're having a really, really, really good day in print competition. Those are very few and far between. Superior is your 94 to 90. Your excellent is 89 to 85. And by the way, it might be wise for you just to grab a little shot of this with your phone so that you can have it over to the side while you're listening to the print competition so that you can actually kind of compare the scores, especially if you entered. Then we go to an 84 down to an 80, and that's the last category of scoring where you would get a merit or a blue ribbon. And then you have a 75 to 79, which certainly means, good job. You're just not quite there yet. You got, and that's where judges really kind of talk about these images and do sometimes what we call a challenge image quite a bit. Now, a judge can certainly challenge an image at any score. And that's meaning that you can challenge it to go up. And then the unfortunate time when they challenge it to go down, and your image, which was once a really high score, they can bring it back and they can look at something that maybe one judge has seen in an image and everybody else says, oh yeah, I didn't see that. And then that can possibly take your score down. So it can either be a great thing or a not so great thing. Then you also have average, which is a 74 to 70, and then a 69 and below are what we call below exhibition standards. And that means it is just not quite up to par to be able to be accepted into our big display that we put up at in the big hallway of the expo. So I'll give you just a second to do a quick screenshot of that. And I am going to be doing the titles today, and then I'm also announcing the scores and advancing the images. So if I get a little bit behind on things, just bear with me. I need an extra arm for this. Let's get to this. So judges, are you ready? Okay, excellent. And we are not going by category. When we normally do print competition, we do all the wedding images at one time, all the albums at once, all of your gallery illustrated, and all of your portraits. So today we're just mixing them up just to kind of let the flow go a little bit better. And because we had several image makers enter 10 images and we don't want them necessarily to be back to back. So, and I will say this too, it is not allowed in PPA, but for PhotoPro Network, we do allow you to enter the same subject more than once in any given print competition. And the reason we do that is because you might have two really great images of someone and you can't quite decide which one that you might want to put in PPA, in the International Photographic Competition. So our state will help you make that decision. It's not something that I necessarily recommend that you do, just because automatically that judge is typically going to know that that's that's an image that the same maker has done, or perhaps the same studio has done of the same subject. It's always nicer if you can have a good variety, but it's certainly not frowned upon. So, all right, so we're going to get started. Judges, just a second, let me advance. And what I'll do is I'll give the title. The judges will enter the score. I will give the overall average out of the three judges, and then one of our judges will take that image and talk a little bit about it. So here we go. Senior year. $78. All right, who's going to talk about it first?
Sure, I'll talk about it. I like the image. I'm sure it was a very sellable image. Really not here going to judge the brightness, because I think we're seeing them brighter than they actually are. But it is just a little flat. There is a little shadow on one side of the nose. But probably for me is my eye goes off the plane of his face on the other side to what looks like a mole, but I know that's the tip of his ear. So that's just one thing that's just distracting to me. But I feel sure it was a sellable, nice image for a senior.
The road ahead. 78.
All right, I'll talk about this one. Again, very good sellable image. A couple of things, I gave it a 79. A couple of things I found distracting. It's very bright in the background. My eyes keep on kind of bouncing around to that. Also, it cut them off at a very odd spot on the bottom. It cut off at their knees or right below their knees. I think crop would help this. If you kind of either go up and get a little less, so you're not, so it looks just very stinted and kind of stinted to me. Either go for a wider shot, maybe see more of it, or maybe go a little tighter and cut off some of the bottom and go up closer to the flowers maybe. But also control the brightness in the background. Also, it looks like it's natural light. But it looks good. Good exposure, again, good sellable image. Just a couple of things I would suggest to think about the hot spots in the background, very distracting, and also look at the crop.
And again, keep in mind, we are not going to be, getting you on things like big time on exposure, because we're doing it on a projection. We don't have the actual physical print in front of us. So, but we can certainly tell when something, is a little bit under or overexposed, especially with your background when you're on outdoor images. So, but we are not going to be saying this image is blown out, because it very well could be just on our screen. And also, we are on a screen in a ballroom. So just wanted to let you know that. I also would say, make sure you pay attention to your backgrounds as far as things you could clean up, like little things like the utility pole down in the left-hand corner, and maybe there's like a bright, looks like the bottom of the utility pole, just little stuff like that when you're cleaning up the background of your images so that you have a good focus. All right, here we go. The babysitter.
Yeah, I love this image. I gave
81, Linda. Sorry, Linda got excited. 81.
Yeah, I gave it an 84. And like I said, I'm going to overlook that some things look blown out, because I don't think they are, because the exposure looks pretty good here. And I love the impact of it. And I'm an animal lover, so I love this image. I think it's great.
Linda, can you get a little closer to the mic? And also, can you tell me about presentation on this particular image?
I love the presentation of this. And I probably would even like it more if a little bit might have been cut off on the left side, just, because the little tiny birds there could even be on that, hard to say from here, but I love the impact of it. So it's a great print for me.
Okay, great. Sunset Leap.
This one?
Yeah. Oh, clear. Yeah, hold on a second. All right. Well, look at your phone. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Right. And judges, if you need to pop around here to my laptop and take a look at it, please certainly. Let's see if we can adjust our exposure a little bit, you guys, on our projector. And that is another reason, while we're talking about that, that's another reason that we still do physical prints for print competition. Everything is we have our beautiful setup, we meter everything, we light everything properly so that we get that true form on that image. Yes, that looks much, much better. And of course, we also understand that what you're seeing at home on your phones or on your laptops are going to look completely different too. So, and that's another reason why we do, PPA does digital as well as physical prints, but PPA also has I've never sat in on the judging at PPA with digital, but their setup is, perfectly color corrected and white balanced on their screens and ready to go. So, all right. So again, let me give this, judges, clear your mind for a moment. Everybody close your eyes. All right. So I'll say the title again. It's Sunset Leap. And your score is 79. Now, judges, I really want somebody to talk about this one since the 79 is so close.
I'm going to talk about this one. Love the pose. Great capture with her in the air. That's sometimes hard to do and get it in focus. I I like her expression and her hair. Some of the things that are keeping this out of the merit category is the really, really light matte is drawing me outside of the image. And then the horizon line in the background is leaning down, and the lines going through the sand and things are leaning down also. It's kind of tipping me out of the image one way and then tipping me out of the image the other way. And I want to keep my focus right there on her beautiful face.
Whoop, sorry about that. All right. All right, swept away. $78.
All right, I was actually higher than that on this one. And again, I'm probably maybe giving it a little bit of credit because it's on a projector. I can't tell exactly what's blown out or what's not. It does look better on the phone. A couple of good things I liked about it. I like the fact that it's off-camera lighting. It's a good capture. It's a unique shot. Looks like it's white sands or somewhere unique like that. Good capture. Good balance of the subject in the background. I do notice the shadows are a little odd. Looks like there's a shadow underneath her, kind of to the right, and behind her as well. So I'm not sure where the lighting is. Looks like there's possible multiple lighting patterns here. So I'm not sure if it's multiple lights or if that's just you kind of fighting the sun at that time of day. One thing I would recommend the maker do is just kind of take like highlights. One thing I like to say about an image like this is, like we talked about earlier, we're going to talk about online, of course, is, look at the whole image. Your eye kind of comes in from the left and goes over. Make sure you have a, good point of interest. This one might be more interesting if you flipped it the other way, kind of see what that looks like. That might help it. That way the dress would be a leading line into her. That might make it a more unique capture. Also, like we talked about, is kind of close your eyes and open them, and what's the brightest part that comes out at you? And the sky may be a little too bright and distracting. So think about that as well. One thing, too, I like to do with an image like this is flip it upside down and kind of see how it looks. Look at different perspectives, you notice different things about the image. But overall, a good capture. I liked it. I enjoyed the image. I think it's well done.
Jonathan, if you don't mind, since I don't want to bring that up on the screen on our chat, if I know we have some people who are not able to hear it because then maybe they haven't enabled their sound. So I know Andy's listening. So if you could have somebody type in on chat for them to how to enable their sound on.
Yeah, if someone in chat who can hear me would be nice enough to put a chat out, hopefully everyone else can see it, to say they have to enable their sound. Go on the left on the phone icon, hit that, and then do internet call and enable that. And that will turn your sound on where you can hear us.
Yeah, we usually use GoToMeeting, and today we're trying out a new software, which so far, knock on wood, is working very well, but we want to make sure you can hear everything. So,
yeah.
All right, judges, next image. Fairy Tale Bride. $80.
All right, I'll talk about this one too, since we still do a lot of wedding work. Well, I really enjoyed this image. I think it's a good capture. I think the lighting is really cool. A couple of things, I gave it an 81, by the way. A couple of things are kind of odd to me about the image is the cropping at the very top. You're seeing not all of that round circle at the top, but not half of it. I would probably look at maybe considering cropping that. My eye keeps going back up there away from her, and it doesn't feel whole or complete because you're not seeing either half of that circle or all of it or none of it. So think about that. Maybe consider the crop. Also, this might be a good one where maybe skewing the perspective a little bit because it looks like she's kind of at an angle from the top. Maybe if you kind of play the free transform in Photoshop, it might look good if you kind of skewed it so it's straight up and down. Because right now your lines are kind of going at odd perspectives to me. That's my opinion. But she looks good. I think it's an interesting, unique perspective. Also, maybe think about flipping it as well, because right now you're coming into her hair, and then her face is on the other side. Maybe you flip the perspective, when you go left to right, you come right into her face. Might be a unique perspective as well. That's all.
Thank you. Sunset Serenity.
Okay, I gave this image a 78.
Hold on, Linda. 77. That's okay. 77.
I gave this image a 78. I like a lot of things about it. Not positive I wouldn't have cropped a little off of that bottom. I know they're trying to show the reflection of the boat, but to me, there's actually more kind of what I consider dead area than there is active area. And I think a different mat might also help it, because the mat to me looks like now on my phone, the mat looks better. So I'm trying to look at both. But maybe just a little bit darker on the mat.
All in a Day's Work. $76.
And I gave this image a 74. It's a cute caricature with the flowers and the butterflies. One thing that is totally distracting me is you could possibly take the flower on the right completely out, because my eye keeps going over that way. And also, one thing you have to absolutely make sure in competition images is that they are in focus completely. So that's something that held me back. The other one is the red stroke line on that black. I want to stay in that flower and the butterfly, and it just keeps me drawing out to the side.
Sun-Kissed Bride. $82.
All right, and I was right at 82 on this one as well. Good capture, good lighting. I like these in natural, what looks like probably natural light. And again, on the projector, it looks a little blown out, but on my phone, it does look a lot better. A couple of comments I would say about this one. Just make sure you have a lot of good detail in that dress. It looks like there is a lot of detail. One thing, too, this might be another good one to flip around, because you go from left to right. You're on her right arm, which is very dark. You got a lot of shadows on the right, so you're kind of starting off from darkness and going to pure light. I would look at maybe flipping this one horizontally, so you're coming in from the left and she's more to the right. See what that looks like. Also, that white border I find is a little too white, too distracting. Maybe something with a gold tone or more flesh tone that suits the image a lot better, because you have the white of that. My eye keeps going around this whole image from her face to the dress to that white stroke. I would consider maybe doing a different, little darker stroke, again with the gold or the flesh tones. But overall, good, strong image.
Goodbye, My Love. $76.
And I'll speak about this image. Nice capture. You got her eyes in focus. You're using the rule of thirds and having her over there to that right third. Her hair over on her left, my right hand side. it's very, very bright, and then you've got a black stroke line going around that white and then going to gray, and it pulls me completely out of the image, and I want to stay right there in those eyes.
Blue Angels Buzz Bellevue. $78.
Yeah, I gave this image an 80. It was just barely there for me, but I just love the impact of it. And on my phone, I'm liking it way better than up on the screen. But and it's a small image on here, but to me, it has a great impact. I'm not sure it couldn't have been cropped a little different. There you go again. It's almost as much dead space as there is active space.
All right, judges, I'm going to have you rotate. You don't have to physically move today, but we're going to, if somebody wants to have a little break and let Brent judge for a little bit. Anybody? Y'all good?
You
gotta
keep messing with this because it keeps going on.
You can guide him, Linda. All right, here we go. Judges ready? All right. Neon Spider. $81.
And I'll talk about this image. I love the impact of this image when it came on, the color harmony in this. It took me a minute, and now I see the spider. It almost looks like a black widow kind of spider, the shape at the bottom and then going up. I thought that was a very cool composition on this. One thing that, and I was right at an 80, just for the impact and the coolness factor on this one. That blue mat all the way around it, you might want to go with a black one, and it'll draw you more into the image because it's drawing me out right now. And then maybe make the stroke line that blue color.
I want to say one thing real quick, now let's go. Since it's a spider, it looks to me like it's almost an upside down spider because you got a lot of the body on the bottom. So I might think about, to me, it's like the legs are up top and the body's on the bottom. So just think about flipping it up, see how that looks as well. Just my thought.
Weather Any Storm. And Brent, you're going to take this one since you were talking about photographing rings for a wedding earlier.
That's been a long time since I've done wedding.
But give it a score first. $75. Okay, Brent.
All right. I like the image. I understand the shot with the ring shot, and it's a little bit. It looks more bright, as we've said many times about the projection. But my eyes are drawn up to the top of the image because of the brightness, and so it pulls you away. You kind of have to search for the rings. So you may be able to add, if you want to still consider using this image, add a vignette to it to darken the top portion of it, and so that it plays the trick on the eye to cone in towards the rings, the part of the image that you're wanting the judges to focus on the most.
Meet Me in the Barn. $78.
All right. I was at 78 on this as well. I like the idea and concept of the image. Really cool show. And actually, it looks like it's well done. Looks like there's light inside. Not sure that's natural light in her hair, but it's like it's a really cool hair light. What kept me out of 80 on this is there's a lot of dark on the left-hand side of the image. I kind of come in, I kind of see a lot of mud. On the phone, it looks a little clear, but also you have all that light there between the wood panes, which is probably the light source. Now I think about it, it's probably like they're shooting through a barn. That's probably an open door. But I would turn that down a little bit. Maybe even think about cropping in, doing something different, because my eyes keep going to them and then keep going to that big white light. Yeah, it's interesting if you kind of look at just cut most of the right-hand side off and it's just them. That is to me is a more interesting image. It's not as distracting. I like what you're going for, shooting through the wood panels, but those white streaks are so distracting. That's where my eye kind of keeps going. So think about doing that. And again, I'm not going to comment on sharpness, but I can't really tell from here. It looks like a good image. Again, a good sellable image, but just think about maybe recropping, and it could probably go higher in competition.
I am Josie. $75.
And I had this image right at a 74. Cute, precious girl. I love the color in her eyes, and I like the framing around her. It's very, very hot and bright on her left-hand side, and then her right eye is really, really, really dark. And I want to stay right there in her eyes, but I keep being drawn out by the brightness, and then how bright her little lips are too.
The Vows. Brent, I need your score, please. Thank you. 78.
I was at 78 on this one as well. My eye keeps going back into whatever. It looks like there's a yellow flower, some foliage there on the bottom right around his elbow of his left arm. My eye kind of keeps going to that shape or whatever that is. I like the image. I like them in the image. But I keep on getting distracted by that. And then the background is very bright and kind of fighting with them quite a bit. Also, I'm struggling to see what their light pattern is. I see some shadow. I'm not sure if it's pure natural light or if using like off-camera light or what. But her face looks very bright as well. I would just kind of look at some of the highlights in this image. Also, I think that large yellow item is very distracting. My eye keeps going to that around his elbow. Maybe a different crop, or if there's another version of the same image, same pose, just over about an inch to the left there, move some of that distraction out. I think that would help the image.
Elegant Senior. $77.
Okay, I'll take this one. I enjoy the image. It's a beautiful senior girl. It seems a little bit on the brighter side, which I'm looking at the phone and it still looks a little bit bright. If that could be pulled down just a little bit, and then you almost on the projection here completely lose her. Well, on the right side of the image, her shirt completely fades into the background completely. So you kind of want to see a little bit of light hitting that image all the way around, hitting the subject.
Liquid rainbow ribbon. I need Jennifer's score. Do you want me to clear and rescore? Okay, judges, I'm going to clear the score. We're having trouble with one. Okay, everybody rescore. Oh, we lost our internet connection just a second. It's coming back. That happens at Expo as well. If you watched any of the PPA print competition, you know we lost internet quite a bit during it. It never fails when it's your image that comes up and then you lose they lose the internet connection. And as I said before, this is getting recorded, and we will also be able to do a deeper critique for your images should you choose to do so. All right, I still need your scores. Jennifer, I never got yours.
Okay, we're having to.
Oh, we're having to recode. Okay.
Wi-Fi code back in.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. Gotcha. There we go. 79.
And I'll speak to this image. I like that I gave this image a 79. I like the impact in it, the concept of it. I guess my issues, as far as keeping it out of the merit category, is it needed a little something, a little bit more. I flow through the ribbon and the colors. I just need a little bit more impact. And then as far as the keystroke, I like the leading line into it. It's just that the matte on it is gray. As colorful as this image is, you could probably go, a darker black or a more colorful to have more color harmony with it. It still looks gray.
It's a little gray on here, so it's kind of hard to tell on my laptop as well. And it looks a little gray on my phone. So, but again, we're not, we're only going by what we see. So, all right. Thank you, Jennifer. Faces in the expansion. $79.
I was a 79 on this one as well. I liked it. It's got good impact, unique color, but I do find my eye kind of just goes around and around and around. I don't really know where to land. Kind of like the last image, very similar comment. There's no central point of interest. It is a very unique image, though. I do like the color harmony, but maybe just clarify where my eye should land because I keep on going around and around. To everything in the image, and I see new things as I look around the image, which is cool. It's kind of one of those, the more you look at it, the more you kind of like it. But it's still, I think we need to have a little clear idea of where our eye should go in this image.
Moonlight Dancer. 77.
And I gave this image a 77 also. Pretty black and white. You've got some pretty harsh shadows, and shadows going all the way down her face and down the back of her ankle and her body. It just seems like a really harsh light for this soft subject, so they don't exactly match for me.
And keep in mind, too, this is a situation where you could go back and reshoot that image at a different time of day and get a totally different look. So image makers, if you have an idea or a concept that perhaps hasn't worked, think about, especially if you're outside, shooting it early in the morning or late in the evening so you don't get those harsh shadows. Try to make your client, if this is a model or a client who can come again and reshoot. Sometimes, you have to reshoot these things 2 or 3 times just to get exactly what you want. Sender ID. '81.
Okay, I'll take this one. I enjoy the image a lot. I really like the presentation of it. I do feel I would like it even more if there was possibly a darker mat around it. Several of the mats that we've seen so far, I feel like that's been holding a lot of the images back, and that's also the case with this one. I feel like possibly a darker blue, or you could even try a black. It's one of those trial and error things that you can just kind of change in Photoshop and keep going through, but I think that can make it pop even more. But overall, I enjoy the image. I think with that one simple change would help its impact.
Cincinnati Summer Sunset.
We're having technical difficulties again. Hold on a second.
Again. '79.
I'll talk about this image. I had this image at a 77. It's a great, landscape image. I really like the bridge leading over into Cincinnati there. Some things that kind of kept me out of going into the merit category is the sun is so bright. That's where my eye is drawn to. The clouds above it are really dark, and then above that you've got those light clouds, and it just keeps drawing me up to the top of the image where I want to keep my focus down at the bottom of the image.
Smile. I am smiling. '80.
I'll talk about this image also. Cute, cute, cute image. Has the impact, made us smile when it came around with that title. I was right at a 79 on this image, and what could push it back over into the merit category for me was just a few little tweaks on it. I love the mat and the composition of it with that little puppy down at the bottom. I want to make sure, being on a projector, I can't tell if I can see that his right eye at the left to me, but mostly down at the very bottom of that pedestal where he's sitting, there are some hot spots down there, and my eye keeps drawing down there. Take care of those couple of little things, and it'll go up into the merit category.
We shall meet again. $76.
Okay, I'll take this one. I enjoy the storytelling of the image and that aspect of it a lot, but there's so many different things competing for my attention. As far as there's bright spots, my eyes want to land everywhere except for one central location. So you want to burn down the highlights so that you can have the viewer cone into the part of the image that you're wanting them to focus on the most, and it's kind of distracting for me, but I do enjoy the storytelling of the image.
Okay, judges, I'm going to rotate. Anybody want to take a little break while we rotate out? Who wants to hop back in there? All right, here we go. Happy girls are the prettiest. $78.
Okay, I'll take this image. I'm also scored it at a 78. I do like it a lot better looking on my phone. Just a few things, and even on my phone, the bottom of that child's right foot looks to be the brightest part of the image instead of the face. And there's something bright back over the back of the couch that probably could be looked at too. But I do enjoy the image. I'm sure it was a nice sellable image.
We were sending a clue to those of you with no audio. Of course, if you don't have audio, you can't hear me saying this, so never mind. All right, here we go, judges. If Jonathan would quit hitting my cursor on my computer. Bride and groom. $77.
I was right around 77. One thing I will mention, my eye keeps on coming back to some of the bright hot spots on the bridge. I like the idea and the composition. I think it's a cool image. I like the leading lines and the side coming right into them. I do have can't tell if it's a bird or something in the sky above them near the top. And my eye kind of keeps on going to those high bright spots up there. I would clean that up. Also look at maybe toning down some of the other bright spots. My eye keeps on bouncing all around this. This might be one where you're controlling your levels around them might give you some great benefit, or even looking at cropping in, maybe crop out some of that top. My eye keeps on going to that very top spot of the sky. Whereas if you crop that out, that might be a stronger image. So I would play with your composition and cropping on this one. But overall, I think it's got some good possibilities.
Spinning satellite.
Now, I'll take this image. I gave this image an 80, just barely.
79.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry.
Linda's excited, you guys.
I gave this image an 80, just barely there for me. I love the impact of it, and I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt because it looks really awesome on my phone. The bright shell sun is maybe just a little too bright, but other than that, I love the impacts in the composition of this image.
Nothing but smiles. $78.
Okay, I'll take this image. I do enjoy the image, a very beautiful subject. It appears to be a little bit bright. It could be toned down some. I also find double white keystrokes a little bit distracting. It pulls me away from the subject. If you could tone those down, as well as with the brightness of some of her hair, you can burn and dodge that down some. I do like the fact that she is in a third, but going back to us going left to right, I think possibly if you flip the image, it would help to make it stronger. That way that you're going in with the direction that the light's coming in towards her face.
A silly smile. $78.
All right, I was a 78 in this one as well. Again, very cute, sellable image. Very, a good, great moment to capture. I would look at, my eye keeps going to the bright spots all around the little girl and her dress. Even on my phone, it does look better. I still see a lot of distraction behind her, around her, on the ground, some reflections. This one might be stronger. Also, the hands that are folded above her in the back. This one might be good if you think about cropping it a little bit, crop down a little bit, get rid of some of those distractions, crop up. Play with the cropping because it looks like it is a good expression on her face. But I think you're losing a lot. You're having a lot of distractions in the background, on the ground around her in the back.
Lazy days. $80.
Okay, I gave this image an 80. Of course, you know me, I love dogs. And I just think it's a great capture. There probably are a few things you could do to maybe get it into the next category, but I love the title. And maybe tone down actually the back foot looks a little hotter to me than the front, but it's hard to tell on here, like I said.
Proud of the man he has become. $77.
I was a little bit above this one's at 78 actually. Some of the things I do like the storytelling in this image. I like the impact. I think those are very, very strong. I think this is one where you can crop in. you have a lot of distractions there in the background. Keep on going to that gentleman in the back to the groom's left-hand side there. Also the grandmother there looks like. And also a lot of white area on the right there. Maybe if you crop in and make it more about just what's going on there with the mother of the groom, I'm assuming, her face there, crop out some of the left and the right. Maybe it's just them. Try something like that. But right now you've got so many distractions. My eye keeps going around to other faces, people in the background, that big white spot down the floor on the bottom right of the image. Also the mat. I meant to mention that in the last image as well. I was looking at this. Looks like a gray mat. Maybe try a darker or a lighter mat. Just kind of, my eye keeps going out to that white stroke and that mat. Maybe make the image a little bit bigger. Try playing around with the presentation. Crop in on maybe just him and the mother, and then see about the presentation and your backdrop as well. Maybe do it just black, or try something different like that.
Such a pretty girl. '81.
Give me that mouse.
You all are live now. A
Okay.
grand dog. Linda has a grand dog that looks like that. Thought she said something else there for a second. A granddaughter that looked like that.
That's what I thought she said too. Oh, I was just going to go with it. I scored this image in 83. I scored it a little bit higher. What did you say the title was again?
Such a pretty girl.
Okay. I enjoyed the image. I enjoy the title. I really enjoy the presentation of it and the composition. I don't have a whole lot of negatives to say about it. You could possibly scoot the actual image of the dog to the right just a little bit to help put it in the rule of thirds, which helps it more with composition and more pleasing to the eye. It's kind of somewhere between in the center and to the right third. But I do enjoy the image.
Thunder in the Rockies. '79.
Okay, I gave this image a 78 because for sure up on the screen and even on my phone, the black at the bottom, it looks like there's not much detail really close to the bottom. Also, it's kind of split 50-50, and I probably would have liked to have seen less land and more sky just to make it the impact of it more.
I'm greater than Bobby Fischer. '79.
Okay, I scored this image at a 81, so that's a little bit higher than everyone else. But I do enjoy the storytelling factor of this. There is several issues, so I may have scored it just a little bit on the high side, but the potential that it had left me scoring it that way. It is on the boy's right shoulder, which is on the left side of the screen, is definitely too bright. It needs to be burn and dodged down, burn it down. Also, possibly even flipping the image once again. I know we've said that several times today, but that can play a key role into that. I enjoy good shadowing on his face, good directional light. Just toning down some of the hot spots on him, even the kicker light that's coming over his right shoulder or the left side of the image needs to be toned down. But overall, I really enjoy the image.
Point of grace. $78.
And I'll talk about this image, even though I did not give it a score. If I had given this one a score, I'd have been right at a 79, 78, or 78 on this also. Beautiful image. I love the sky and the color harmony in this image. Again, the white mat is kind of drawing me out from it. I love her pose. She is, dead center right there, and I think that it would have a little bit more flow to the image if you put her, over, cropped it so that she was over a little bit more to the right third, and then cropped down from the sky.
Patina Vintage 1956. $80.
All right, I'll talk about this one. I was right at an 80 on this one. It looks better on my phone as well. This is one that I look at, and I now look at, it may have been a little low. I think maybe just a little bit above that. This is a good example of one that the more I look at, the more I like it. I like the composition. I like you can't tell if that's photographic texturing or if that's the actual texture of the object itself, the actual patina of it. This is probably a little bit of Photoshop work, but I like it. I think it's well done. I like the presentation. I like the separation of the red and the blue. I might look at a different stroke. That stroke to me looks a little distracting. Maybe something that goes a little better with some harmony, maybe a little more on the red, the rust, the gold color might be a little different. Take a look at that. But overall, I definitely like it. I would look at the keystroke, though, and see if that could be improved. That's all I can think of.
My cup runneth over. $79.
I'll talk about this one as well. I gave it a 78. I like the concept. I like the idea. It looks like a beautiful location, but my eye keeps kind of bouncing around in the image. There's a lot of brightness on the sky there. There's a lot of whatever that is they're standing in front of. I'm assuming some sort of waterfall or fountain or something. It's not, yeah, it looks like a fountain. I can see it now. There's a lot going on. I would look at maybe cropping this in, especially on those outer edges there. There's a lot on each side on the right, maybe come into what it's just now, maybe even like a horizontal pano kind of look and cut out a lot of that stuff on the right. Also the front is very bright and distracting. I find my eye kind of bouncing around all over the place. His suit is also very dark. Maybe you can work on the tones there, kind of bring a little bit more of him out. And it may be stronger in actual print. And also a double keystroke. Think about that. Maybe a single keystroke. I think a better presentation would help this image quite a bit.
I want to say one thing. We talk a lot about, keystrokes, and when I go through and do my keystrokes on mine, I make them no more than 6 pixels, usually about a 5 pixel. You don't want to give the judges anything extra to pick at and to see and to distract them from what your image is saying. That keystroke is just to add a little accent to it. And sometimes if you have bigger ones, it will actually hurt your image and detract from what you're wanting to show.
Brent wanted to say something.
Also, a possibility for the image I feel like could improve it is if you cropped in on the left and the right. You could try it this way because we talked about cropping the top part off. But if you cropped into the left and right and made it more of a vertical image and maybe like a 10 by 20 style close to them, and then if there's any of the sky left in the top of the image that would distract with the brightness of the sky, you could clone those out. And I think that could possibly help the image in it that way.
All right, judges, if we go ahead and rotate, I think, Jonathan, are you due a break? Okay. I also want to say something, you will notice, those of you who are wedding shooters, and if you've ever sat in on print competition before, a lot of times we, and Jonathan and I are a lot of wedding work, and it's difficult because if you're shooting for a concept or you're photographing in the studio and you have blocked out that amount of time to be able to create that image that you want, it's very different from those of us who are wedding shooters because we have 5 minutes sometimes to get it right with lighting and posing and technique because, no offense to Kayla, who's an event coordinator sitting here beside me right now at the Landmark Hotel, but a lot of times she's on a schedule. She's trying to get us and get the couple out and get them into their party, and you've got people waiting. So please don't take it, we tended to talk about this image a little bit more. We understand, all of us who are judges and image makers, we understand the plight of certain types of photography. When you only have that little amount of time at sunset, or you have a fussy baby to photograph, or you have a whole bunch of puppies in a pile you're trying to photograph. So, I think sometimes the judges, you'll hear that as you sit in on more print competitions, and it's difficult to sit there and listen to your image be talked about like that. But, we've all been there. So that's why these judges are saying what they're saying. And I think he makes a good point, Brent, particularly about cropping in on that onto your center focus. We, especially for a lot of times, I think a lot of us do, we tend to shoot a little bit wider. And that way, you can take space away, but you can't create something that's not there. So certainly don't be afraid to shoot a little bit wider. And I would love to see this original capture, like Brent was saying, to see what else is in that image, to see what we could do with it. So, all right, judges. Tickled pink. $78.
And I was right at a 77 on this image. Cute capture, very saleable image. Some things that are keeping this from being a merit image necessarily is, again, that really, really bright white matte that's on there. It keeps drawing me out. The heavy vignette along the bottom of it draws my eye down from her. I like the lines leading into her. Something that you have to really watch, especially if you're shooting somebody with a horizon line in the back, is it doesn't go through their head. So those are some of the things that have kept me from going any higher in this image.
Indigo Nights. $77.
I gave this image a 77, and a lot of things that were distracting about it is the horizon line, number one, is right in the middle, which is distracting enough. But the sky really doesn't seem to have much detail in it, and the horizon line looks not straight to me also.
If one of you all could address too, I know you can't see this maybe on screen, I can see it on my laptop. The image maker appears to have applied a texture overall to this image. Linda, talk a little bit about, especially with landscapes that you do so much of.
Yeah, it doesn't really look, I don't mind textures at all. I like them fine. But this doesn't look like a texture. It almost looks like grain to me, like it's underexposed.
Yeah.
So you want to be sure, if you're using a texture, to make sure
it's intentional.
If it's intentional. Yeah.
I can call you Mom now. $79.
Okay, I'll take this one. I gave this image an 80 because of the storytelling. The title helps with the storytelling in this process. There's several things that could be done to help improve the image. The bright spots throughout the image is distracting. As far as the left of the image, if you could burn those down. Also, going back to key line. The key line stroke, but it is a little bit bold as distracting to me. But I do appreciate the image for the great storytelling fact.
Pass the salt. $78.
Okay, I'll take this one. I was right there at a 78. I love it. I love the impact of it. But just a few things. The mat probably is distracting to me on the screen and on the phone because it is the light. It seems to be the lightest, besides the bright spot down in the bottom part of the image.
Yeah, I would definitely try a darker matte on that.
Yeah, darker
for
matte would be
sure.
great.
Yeah, because it's blowing out the image. Because I'm looking on my
But-
laptop and it has really nice detail with it.
But I love the title and I love the impact of it.
Mona Lisa. $77.
And I was at a 74 on this image. Beautiful saleable image. I like that her eyes are in the third quarter of it. You've got some flow from the left to the right. Things that are keeping me from moving it up to a higher category. If you go around the flowers, there is a halo line all the way around there, and those are digital artifacts. And it's where some over sharpening has been done. That will kill an image more than anything else, is if you've got those technical difficulties with it. Great saleable image. Love her little expression and everything, but you've got to nail those technical things.
Dusk on the Lake. $76.
Okay, I was right there at a 76. On my phone, I like the image better for sure, but still, that one bright spot, my eyes go there before they go anywhere. And then some of those bright spots in the trees and the kind of middle composition.
Yeah, and also on my screen looks, again, I can't tell if it's grain because of the ISO the maker was shooting at, or if it's, you know, the blacks are what we call blocked up quite a bit. You know, so certainly this is a case where you could go back at a certain time of day and go just a little earlier than how you captured it, just to get a little more pop to the image.
Or use a cable and
Mhm.
hold it wide open.
Exactly. Flexible dancer. $76.
Okay, I'll take this one too. I was at a 75 because, you know, I appreciate the dancer and the pose is good, but for me, it looks like that tree is jabbing her in the throat. and that's, once I saw that, that's all I can see. But there are other really light spots that drag me over to it. I like the concept and the idea, but you've got to think about things growing out of the back of your subject, because she doesn't just have it coming out of her throat. She's got one coming out of her head also.
Sunset Ridge Lunch. $80.
Okay, I was in 82. I really enjoy the image, and I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt because I do enjoy the image, and I really enjoy it on my phone. The only one thing I will say is, and I'm not sure about this because, like I say, we can't see them. That's why I always enjoy a print, because you can really look at it. But to me, it looks like it almost has, Jennifer might be able to help me with words, right above the mountains. It's almost like they burned down the sky, but not all the way down to the mountain. But that may just be the way, the haloing
See if I can
effect,
zoom in.
right over, and it looks worse on the phone.
I've zoomed in for you a little bit
Yeah.
there.
So just be careful of that. And you may not have, but you got to be careful of that because they will see it. Yeah, it comes from over sharpening. Mm-hmm. That's pretty.
How the Mighty Have Fallen. Score, please. Thank you. 75.
Okay, I'll talk about it because I was the high one on this, because I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt on my phone because I like it on the phone, even though it's only like a half an inch by a half an inch. But because I've been to that area and I just love the beauty of the nature there, and the, to be able to catch that coming into the water. Some of the things is you got to make sure there's detail and some detail where that's splashing the water. And then there's a rock or something off to the right for me facing it, that is pretty dark. But like I say, I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt that it just looks that way on the screen.
Junkyard Babies. Look away if you have nightmares about baby dolls. I would never say that in an actual print competition, image maker. We're going to send a therapy bill. 76.
Okay, I'll take this one. Still, yeah, a little frightened, I guess. No, it is, there's a lot. It's just this, Linda says that looks like something I do. It is, there's a whole lot going on. A lot of different things that can pull your attention. I would probably do that, but it would actually be my kids probably. Oh, my poor kids, what I put them through. Also, there's a lot of people that I feel like has done either black or white mats, when if they would have did something a little bit different with mats and pick a color that's in the image, that it would make several of the images for people that's watching this. If we've not talked about that, about your image or something, you can always maybe pick a color and select a color from inside the image that would help the image out. But there's a lot going on there. So I feel like I need to be pulled in a little bit more.
And I just like to say, it looks to me on the laptop, it looks like maybe the image maker has done some work on some of the baby doll eyes. Like, the baby doll to the far right with its really electric blue eyes. Okay, she's possessed. I tell you what, my favorite thing about this image is the baby that is above the baby with the super, super blue eyes, that it looks like it's sitting up. I look at that. Of course, I have a little bit of a macabre personality. I'm kind of like Brent, if you've seen some of my weird images before. I like the concept of this image, but I think there's too much in it. So, draw in, I mean, I'm sure these baby dolls are still at that junkyard. I can't imagine anybody wanting to take these things home. So, I really kind of would want to, and I did see an image at IPC this year that was like a broken doll that was really a fascinating, interesting image. I do have to give points, however, to the very, very fashionable teddy bear on the far right in the leopard print suit. So I'm going to have to look up later and see who did this image and take a look. But again, in all seriousness, focus in on your center of interest. Image makers certainly do like a little bit on the strange, odd, interesting things. Jennifer doesn't, but those of us who are a little on the twisted side do. That's fine. All right, here we go. The sky's the limit.
Use fingertips. Okay. Okay. I was wondering if it was just a button that I wasn't realizing I had to push.
$78.
I'll talk about this image. I was right at a 78 on this image too. I love ballerina portraits. My daughter's a ballerina. Again, great capture because she's in the air. She's in focus. Things that are going to keep this out of the merit category are how dark the mountains are back behind her back foot. Her hand is really dark. That's, her right hand that's off the back. And again, she's right across that horizon line. So those are some of the things that you really have to watch when you're doing images like this for competition.
I want to say a little something about this. Whoever this girl is, she's beautiful and she's a beautiful ballerina. So you need to work with her again.
Mm-hmm.
It may be a better time of day, either early morning or late evening.
Or in the studio.
Or in the studio.
Absolutely. Yeah, I highly suggest that too. You need to get this girl in and start shooting with her at different times of day in the studio, different outfits, highly, highly suggest that. Determined and dangerous. $80.
And I'll talk about this image. Also, I was right at an 80 on this. I love the color harmony in it. You've got some good light direction on her face. While it's bright on the projector on my phone, it looks dead on. It's an 80. I consider this one a merit image. Some things that you might do to make it go just a little bit higher. That keystroke again is just a little bit too big and it's a little too bright. It draws me out of the image. And then the matte on it is a little bright also. You might want to tone that down. And make sure that, your top left-hand corner where you've vignetted around and then her bow that is behind her, make sure there's some good detail back there in the blacks. But I really enjoyed this image.
Smoke on the horizon. 83.
Okay, I was at an 84 on this image. I would even be in the next category, because even on my phone, as small as it is, besides the sky, which you could expect to be bright, the brightest spot is a little bitty piece of a rock down on the left side. And then that one rock there in the bottom almost looks like a burrito. So once I start really staring at it, but I love, love, love this image. And so if just a few of those rocks down here in the corner could be taken care of, just taken down, or even crop that bottom, the one that looks, yeah, the burrito looking rock off. I love this image. But I would definitely be in the next category.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it. That's what
Sorry,
kept me
Brent.
scoring low. That's what kept me scoring low was that bottom. If we could just crop off the bottom inch.
And the bottom left
Yeah.
as well. So, yeah. Okay, excellent. Good job, judges. Matron of Honor.
Can we rotate? Because I keep letting Duncan's phone go off.
Yes.
We'll give it to him.
Yeah, you can rotate
Then we
there.
can look at this one.
Sure.
Okay.
80.
And I gave this image a 79. I'm going to talk about it even though, weddings aren't my thing. But I really, really, really loved the storytelling on this image. I love the lighting on the bride and her bridesmaids that are around her. What kept me out is that how distracting the left-hand side of the image and the bridesmaids over there, because they're out of focus and they just look like kind of blobs. What I would do to improve this image, do a different mat because it's really, really dark around the edges and I don't see a key line to kind of separate that, but crop just down this bride to your left, just to the left of her zipper. That way she kind of frames the image and brings you into that bride and her bridesmaids over. But this is a beautiful image that has potential. It just needs a little bit of help.
And I'll say this too, as a wedding shooter, first of all, this is a beautiful photojournalistic moment. As wedding shooters, we hope we get into these. But I will also say, I almost would really like to see this in black and white, to really, for the impact. You've got beautiful detail in this bride's dress and her hair and the bridesmaids. I would definitely get rid of, no offense to this lovely bridesmaid on the left, but it's her backside is basically all I can look at, and get rid of that and crop her in a little bit so that you pull that focus over to that beautiful moment that she's sharing with her matron of honor. Right, most women do not want their backsides. And also, I would say too, I kind of would like to have a different title on this, a little more emotional impact in the title. So go for the feeling. We obviously know it's not necessarily matron of honor, but a bridesmaid, at least. Of course, by her sash, I would think, she's clearly being described as someone else. She's got a little special embellishment on her bridesmaid's gown that nobody else has. But I would go for a more emotional moment, with a title. So just a suggestion. In your face. $79.
All right, I was just a little under that at 78. I like the image. It's got good impact. I actually like the color harmony. I think it's a pretty cool image. I like the perspective. It's a unique perspective. It's obviously kind of a fisheye, a little distorted, but I like that. I think what kept me out of the merit category actually was there's a lot going on, which is a good thing about the image, but also there's a lot of bright spots. To me, for some reason, I keep on finding myself going back to that. I guess it's a map over the left-hand wing just above that. There's those red boxes. There's a few things there that just don't really fit. With this image, maybe if you cleared up some of those distractions, because my eyes keep on coming to that red on the wall. I guess those are probably light switches or some sort of switch. And also that map. Maybe look at playing around with some of that. I do like the look. Also, let me see on my phone. Look at the keystroke as well. It's red, which of course goes to the red in the center, but then it also kind of my eye keeps bouncing around. Maybe something that goes a little cooler on kind of the metal or the gray color, the gray side. But play around cleaning up some of those distractions. It could be a good image, or it could be a better image. Excuse me.
Happy endings. $78.
I'll talk about this one as well. I do like the concept. It's a good capture. Again, like we said earlier, good photojournalism. I love the expressions, the people behind them, his expression. I can't really tell on the projection how sharp he is, so I'll assume it's probably a pretty sharp image. On the negative side, though, again, I know you're shooting through something, which is a cool perspective. But maybe think about cropping in. Maybe you crop in a little bit of the right, because that is so distracting to me. A little bit of the right and the left, and kind of come in on them a little more, because you get that big out of focus item on the left, whatever that is. If you crop in a little bit, get rid of some of that, and then crop in on the right, just to the young lady there looking at them. I think it's a stronger image. You know, quite so much distraction. I can live with it in the middle. I think if I had a little less on each end, and also you don't have a whole lot on the top and bottom. So I think about maybe cropping down, maybe making a little bit more of a pano image, kind of go up a little bit and come down, and also think about maybe editing some of those distractions on each end. But overall, good photojournalistic, good capture, good moment. Again, as a wedding shooter, I like this. This is what you're looking for from the kind of PJ perspective. But I think it can be improved with some cropping. And also, I don't really see a keystroke. Look at something maybe in the blue hues with her dress, something like that. Give it a nice little stroke and set it apart.
On this, well, two things. Just on images, if you can watch it on the edges, when you want your focus to be on the people, on the far left of this image, there's a little bit of the light, like a bluish color that comes in. If you would have took that in one more inch to where that the darkest part of that helps eliminate that distraction. So it's about eliminating those distractions. Also, something I've noticed a lot of times in judging, and that's what makes images like this that's shooting through something so difficult, is that judges, you want everything in the image to be crisp and clear, and so it's distracting when something's blurry, even if it was intentional a lot of times, especially if it's in the foreground of the image.
A Fairy Tale in the Fog. $79.
I'll take this one. I gave it an 80. It was just barely there for me, and I just am giving it the benefit of the doubt because I like the image. I might have. I keep going from the bride and groom over to the tree that almost looked like a reflection. So if you could take that down a little, and this little bright spot, the little vent coming out of the building. But I love the impact of this, even with it being center weighted there. And I think there actually is a lot more detail than we can see over on the bank of the river or whatever that is. But I do enjoy the image.
China Doll. $75.
I was a little under that at a 74 on this one. You know, I like the flow of this image. There's just a lot of different things going on in this image. I don't know exactly where my eye is supposed to go. I know I want to go straight to her beautiful face. but there's so much distraction going on around the image in the different colors, the blown out grass, the distractions of the coloring and the modeling down at the bottom. Great saleable image for this client, but it's just not a merit image for me.
Picnic under gold. $75.
I gave this image a 75 also, which puts it in the above average category, just barely. But so I do love the impact of the image, but maybe if you had used a bigger mat in the image, because it's just a whole lot of trees and very little subject. I had to search for the picnic. Might not have even found it very quick had the one had not had on a white shirt. So just some ideas.
Just a touch of attitude. $81.
And I had this image at an 80 right in the merit category. Love her pose, composition. I like the dark mat that leads me into her. The vignetting is just enough. Very, very, very saleable image. I like the grunge on it. Some of the things that, probably held me back is that her shoes down at the bottom are really, really, really dark, and then against the white of her skin, so that draws me down away from her face. But very merit-worthy image.
Dancing by the pool. $76.
And I'll talk about this image also. I was right at a 77 with this image. I like the leading lines of the pool, the leading lines of her legs coming in. Again, a very saleable image, and she probably loved this one as a dancer. Some things that you really need to keep in mind, especially if you're shooting for competition, is the reflection in the pool. It's cropped her and cut her right across the nose, so it's cut off, part of her head. Things like that you really have to watch, especially when you have reflections. Some other distracting things also, the background with the light that's coming through. I keep wanting to go up there, and I really want to stay down in her face.
Farewell to Sorrento. $75.
All right, I was at a 75 on this one as well. The sunset is great, but my eye keeps on coming back to that. I guess the coast there on the left, on the bottom left, very dark, as we say, kind of blocked up. I would think about the sunset's really cool. I would think about playing with this, maybe totally cutting out all of that bottom part there. If you go like maybe a really cool, very narrow pano of just some of the sky. You cut off all the ground on the bottom, basically all that's in shadow, and then maybe even some of the sky on top. Make a really cool, long, narrow panel would be a really cool image. I like the color harmony. I like the presentation.
You paused. I thought you were finished. Into the Woods. 76.
And I was right at a 73 on this image. Again, beautiful ballerina. You know, you've got light direction on her face. Everything else is just so dark, and she's so bright. Very, very saleable image, and you know, I'm sure she, you know, absolutely loved it. But for print competition, you've got to make sure that you don't have that huge distinction with, you know, really, really, really bright against that really, really dark background. Again, watch the little bitty details because they will nitpick. The bottom of the image, you've got those little light dapplings on the ground, and it draws your, you know, attention down from her beautiful face up there.
And I just want to say one thing. You know, you got a beautiful subject there, and you don't have to always use that off-camera flash. Sometimes, you know, to me, there's that strong light on her, and then the trees are completely black. And so just think about that. Shoot it both ways and see which way you like it the best.
Colorado Dreaming. $79.
And I was right at a 79 with this image. Also, beautiful sky. I love the mountains in the background, the color harmony. It's very, very heavy weighted at the bottom because it's very, very dark. I want to stay up there in those beautiful clouds. And, you know, you just want to make sure that your image isn't very, very heavy weighted down at the bottom. There's not much of a matte presentation on this, so it just seems really, really heavy there.
Unveiled. $78.
I was right at a 79 on this one. I really like this image. I wanted to like it a lot more. I like the idea and the concept. It's well shot, the good detail in the dress. But a couple of things that kept me out of the merit category. There are a lot of distractions to the windows in the back, but I can deal with that. I think it's a cool image. For this image, I think that's not horrible. But a couple of things that really kept me from that is the presentation. The matte, I don't think really helped the image. I would go with something that's a little less distracting. My eye kind of kept moving over into that. Also, I think the double stroke was a little too fat on the stroke, and also maybe try a single stroke. Maybe consider the crop on this one as well. You're already cropping out part of the dress. Maybe if you came in and cropped out a little more of the dress on each side, made it a little more of a vertical, and had some less of the windows to a degree. Try that. That might help. And also maybe some more of the floor. I'm just kind of putting a cropping on this. I do like the idea and the impact. I think it's got a good impact, good storytelling. I think try some cropping might improve it quite a bit.
The Young Professor. $76.
Okay, I was right there at a 76. I'm sure he was pleased with the image. To me, it doesn't have that great an impact. There's bright spots, you know, a lot of bright spots there, taking my eye away from the image.
Princess of the Jungle. $76.
And I was right at a 75 in this image. Beautiful portrait of this little girl. I love her little expression. Love seeing her little toes peeking out underneath her dress. Things that you need to, just kind of keep in mind when you're doing, as far as competition images, is that you've got really good light in her eyes. Her eyes are really, really, really dark there, and her hair's really dark. You just want to make sure you have a little bit of light in there. And then the yellow ropes on the swing, they just keep drawing me out from her pretty face.
Get up and stretch, and we're going to rotate out. Everybody stretch up. You're doing great. Doing great. We're about 3/4 finished. So stretch it out, stretch it out. Let me know when you're ready. Okay, we're going to take about, I'm going to explain some things while, okay, Brent wants to say something too.
I am not going to the bathroom.
All right, Brent wanted to address a couple of things while we're just on and I mean 5 minutes, guys.
I wanted to say one thing. I know that print competition and getting things ready for print competition can be discouraging at times. I've been there many of the times myself. So I just wanted to reiterate that we're not saying that the images are bad images or poor images. There's some images that may be wonderful images, that are gorgeous images that we love as judges, that clients love, that are very sellable, but they don't necessarily meet the 12 elements for a print competition image. So we're not saying that it's a bad image. We're just saying it may not be right for print competition to tweak it. So I just wanted to say we're not saying that any image is poor or anything like that. We're trying to help educate you in what to make that stronger in order so that you're getting those merits, that you're getting not 75, 76, 77, 78, that you get up to 80, and then once you get to 80, you fine-tune it even more, and we push you into the next categories, getting you up to 85 and even the 90s. So that's kind of that. I just want to reiterate that.
Thank you, Brent. While our judges are taking a tiny little break, I just wanted to remind you, this has been our final event for summer. Thank you to everybody who attended. But we do have, I'll have to check with Jennifer on this, but it may be that we can do one more print critique, like late fall, possibly. Look at her, she's making a face. She has children, I don't. So that might be something that we can do. But even if we don't schedule a print critique, please certainly feel free, and I'll send this out, I'll post this information. Photo Pro Network has a website, photopronetwork.com. We are on Google+. We are on Facebook. Twitter. We are available for you. So if you have an image that you are thinking about for print competition, because we really want you to participate in this, please make sure you send that to us, and we can, if it's something like, I'm not a specialty in newborns, but I can send it to people like Jennifer who are newborn specialists as far as photography goes. So we want to be able to be here for you. But I do want to say, speaking of print competition, our Photo Pro Expo is coming up in January. You may notice, and I need to call David and Randy and let them know this, but we originally had the date of Super Bowl Sunday weekend. We had to move our date for Photo Pro Expo, because WPPI scheduled theirs in Las Vegas the same weekend. And it poses a couple of issues. First of all, those of us who like to go to several different things couldn't go. Secondly, it created a major issue for our trade show vendors, who sometimes only have one person who's handling their trade shows. And then thirdly, we didn't want to desaturate our numbers for either of the conferences. So we moved ours. So if it says February on the website, and Erin Denny emailed me earlier today to let me know that, because I had not seen that they hadn't changed that, but Expo is actually January 26th through the 30th of 2017. Jennifer and I will begin, depending on how many images, sometimes we begin the print competition on the evening of Wednesday the 25th. So that just depends on how many images and how we need to get through these things, and if our judges can get there on time. Now, that is a great panel of judges. We have a jury chair. We have full, they're either finishing, am I right there, Jennifer, as far as their affiliation, or?
Yes, they are either affiliate judges or they are judges in training, but they have been through judging school and have been taught how to judge and, you know, how to speak about print.
Absolutely. And so in order to enter our print competition for PhotoPro Network, you do have to be a member of PPN. If you've ever been to our award ceremony, you know that we give some amazing awards. I know there are several people listening today who have taken some of those awards. They're beautiful glass trophies. We really believe in rewarding our image makers with great awards and ribbons and all kinds of great things. So we encourage you to enter. If you are not a member of PhotoPro Network, you can just go to photopronetwork.com and you can join. We have two ways. You can either join for the year, which is $79 for the year for membership, or we have a monthly membership that is just $8 a month. And that's the same for PPA. Am I right that PPA can do a monthly membership payment as well?
Yes, PPA does a monthly membership also, and I think it's around, it's under $30.
Yeah, I think it's $27, $28 a month. Yeah. So look into these professional organizations. We certainly want you to be a part of it. Some of the perks that you get by being a PPN member, in addition to the expo, being able to enter the print competition, you get free business reviews, free portfolio reviews. You get access to all of our old seminars and print competition galleries and hours of old expo events that you can go back and watch these classes. You get special pricing on our summer and our expo events. And so we just really want you to be a part of it. It's a great organization. You do not have to be from Kentucky to be a member of PhotoPro Expo. And so we would really like to have you be a part of it. So, all right, judges, come back, please. Oh, and I will give you, if you go to the website or if you go to anything about the Hot Shots print competition on the website, you can see my email and Jennifer's email. So feel free to email or call us or text us if you have any questions at all. All right, judges, let's get back.
Judges, take your mark.
They're stretched. They're ready to go. Here we go. Next image. Sunset rehearsal.
I'm trying to get back there.
$79.
And I gave this image an 80 right at the merit category. I love the color harmony on this image. I like the lighting on her face. I like her pose. Some things that you could possibly do to get the judges to bring their scores up and put this in the merit category. You might try to flip the image and move her over just a little bit by cropping it so that the image flows from left to right as the lighting pattern does. Try and, she's got part of the horizon line above and then the wheat horizon line is going through her head. But I thought it was a merit image. You'll want to add, a matte and a keystroke to this one. But beautiful lighting, and I like the color harmony in this.
Rock solid ballerina. $77.
Okay, I'll take this. I had this just a little bit higher at a 78. It's a very beautiful image. I do enjoy the pose. It is I find it very difficult when for competition print, especially if you got tulle and thin fabrics to shoot outside because it has a tendency to get blown out by the sun. I enjoy the image a whole lot. If the back side of her dress could be really toned down, I think that would improve the image.
And something I'll add also, she's really, really, really tight in this image. She doesn't have any room to breathe. It's really tight, cropped in on her feet and on her head. If she had a little bit more room around her to breathe per se, it would, it just feels really, really, really tight.
Another thing to watch for whenever you're getting images ready for a print competition, whenever you have bright areas and then it gets really dark and the bright areas encase the dark area. You get those spots that pulls the judge's eyes to that. So the spot between her body and her left arm, I guess, like your eye wants to go there, my eye does because of the dark spots. So kind of watch for those spots. It can also be the vice versa, and we've talked about in some images how that it's the bright spots will catch your eye. Like I think one of the originally or first few images was in the barn, and how that it's almost blown out and draws your eyes away. And same way with the dark.
Happily ever after. $78.
All right, I was right there at 78 as well. I like the image, beautiful capture of the bride and groom walking away. A couple things that kept me, kind of pushed me down from the merit category. First of all, keep on coming to her dress. There's some sort of something, I can't tell if it's a shadow or something on her dress there. I keep on coming back
That's
to
a bustle.
bustle. Oh, okay. Well, to me, because it's so wide, it reads almost like a shadow or something. Of course, it may look better on the little clear image. Again, projector could be causing problems there. But also, it's so bright, my eye keeps going to that skyline. And also on the left is so blocked up. If you look at maybe recropping this, I do like the staircase. Is kind of a cool little touch there. The rocks on the left. Maybe if you crop out some of the sky, that's a lot better actually. If you crop out some of the sky, it's not quite so distracting because my eye keeps on going up to that sky up on the top. To me, I like that a little better. And even if you crop out a little more of the left there, I think it's still, I like the storytelling of this image. I do like the impact. But I think that would help the image greatly. And also, there's no keystroke, maybe a black mat.
There is a keystroke. You
Oh,
just
it is?
can barely see it. Yeah.
It's very faint. Okay, very faint. Okay, I couldn't see it here. But let's maybe revisit the keystroke, maybe something that has a little better harmony with the image.
I woke up like this. $77.
And I was right at a 77 on this image. What a cute concept. You know, I love the Captain America in the background. Love his little costume and how he's down in the bottom third of this. What really keeps me from going a whole lot higher with this is just how dark and heavy it is at the bottom. I'm having a hard time seeing, his eyes. I want to be able to see, the light in his eyes. Never let me go.
Sorry, my mic was off. That was Never Let Me Go. 77.
Sure, I was right there at a 77. Like I said, if it was a print that I could see, maybe I wouldn't be as harsh on it. But the brightest spots are those two banisters coming down on the left. And it's just got a lot of bright spots. It's hard to land anywhere.
Oh, sorry, I want to say something. And also that, when we're photographing in historic homes and things like that, which are beautiful places for weddings, but if you see the top, that trim work or crown molding, it goes right down and then goes right through their heads. So either having them step down or you coming up or you moving your perspective. And I know wedding photographers, we have like 30 seconds to get the shot, but sometimes you just got to say, hey, you know what? I want this shot to be the best I can be. So we're going to take a couple minutes. And then Kayla, the wedding coordinator, can get mad at us. So by the way, that's a beautiful location. You know, if you can go back to that and heck, get them redressed up and get your prettiest bride and groom and bring them back and do a after the aisle shoot with them there. So, an enchanted embrace. $77.
Yeah, I was right at 77 on this one as well. Again, cool image, cool concept. We've talked before about shooting through things. It can be a cool image. I'm sure they liked it. It's a very sellable image, very well done from the sales standpoint. A couple things keeping it down for the merit category. You have a lot of distractions there in the front. Those, I guess, maybe pieces of wheat or something are coming up. My eye keeps going to those and kind of bouncing around those and not the couple. Also, the sky is very bright. If you'd moved over a little bit more, gotten less of the wheat and maybe a little bit more of them in a field with a little less sky, I think would have been a much stronger image. Also, he looks very static there, just kind of looking at her. A couple of things could have helped out. I think, again, try to avoid so many in the front that are distractions, and also watch the sky.
The new daughter. $75.
And I was at a little bit higher than I was at a 77 on this image. What a sweet, sweet moment in time. You know, this just makes my heart sing, you know, because her sweet little expression and mom's expression. Very, very sellable image, maybe not necessarily for print competition. Some things that you need to watch, again, that matte is kind of a gray tone. You know, you might want to go, you know, with the black matte. It's really, really dark on mom's right shoulder to the left of the image, and then it's just kind of flatly lit, you know, on the child's face.
Shadowy figure. $78.
All right, I'll talk about this one. I was at 79. I actually liked it quite a bit. I really enjoy the color harmony. I like the impact. It came out and I had to really look at it. There's a lot of lines moving around, like that swooping motion from kind of the top through the right and then back down to the bottom. I think for me, some of the things keeping out of merit, I do find my eyes bouncing around quite a bit, but I kind of like that. I'm not as upset about that. I think the double stroke or the extra outside stroke to me is a little distracting. I'm not sure where to go on this one, which I think is part of the impact of it, because it is such a cool mosaic kind of look. So I think about maybe playing with some of the cropping. I think there's the darker shapes on the bottom left and right. I'm not sure exactly what those are. So maybe kind of play around with how does it look without some of that on the right especially. Maybe flip the image as well and maybe see how the eye moves around that way, flip it horizontally. I would just kind of play out the crop and some of the composition, also think about getting rid of the extra keystroke.
All right, judges, I'm going to do this title the way that this former English teacher knows that the word is the first pronunciation in Webster's dictionary. Okay. Morning farm scene redux. $79.
I was right at a 79 on this image. I like the position of the cows, and I like the concept, the old Redux photos. I like the texture that's been added to it and the color harmony of it. It's really, really heavy on the bottom. You might consider, cropping this one just about an inch or two down below the cattle there, and try flipping it, because right now we're coming right into those the cattle. And it just kind of stops me from moving around and enjoying the rest of the farm in this image.
Faded Mercury Glory. $78.
Yeah, I was right there at a 78. I do appreciate the artistic aspect of this, but these bright spots over on this one side it seem to bother me, especially when they're right there on the edge. It's almost like I keep being drawn over there.
Heritage Day. $76.
All right, I was above that just a little bit at 77. It's a good capture on the fireworks. I've shot fireworks. I know that could be a challenge in and of itself. I think one thing that keeps me out, though, is I think it'd be more interesting to crop in a little bit on the right. You have a lot of dead space over on the right, and the bridge is pretty, but is it really the focal point of the image? I think the focal point is definitely the fireworks. Maybe play around with cropping on this one, crop out some of the right, because there's a whole lot there. Maybe even some of the river there below. Just kind of play around with cropping and see what's best. And also, go back and look. You're cutting off part of the firework on the top. Not sure if you have that in the frame or not, but if so, I think it'd be good to give them a little room to expand, because, again, to come back, Jennifer said earlier about the person was really kind of stuck up in a photo. This firework is stuck up in a photo. It's not blooming all the way it should at the very top. So I'd go back and think about some of those things, and maybe play some of the crop and see if you have some more of the image on the firework.
Bride Awaits. $77.
And I was right at a 77 on this image. Again, beautiful subject. I like the light on her face. Again, the hot spots that are, behind her, and then the dark bushes and trees and things they're very, very distracting and draw me away from her beautiful face. The heaviness of the keystroke and that kind of orangey yellow, again, draws me, out of the image.
Takeoff Congestion. $78.
Well, I didn't actually judge it, but I would have been right there at a 78. I do kind of enjoy the impact of it, but let me look at it on the phone. Oh, you already. Yeah, I'm not sure I'd use that dark of a mat. Maybe I would. I always, when I'm going to do them, I'll put them in 3 different mats and look at them that way. But I think it's above average image.
A Dog's Life is a Rough Life. 83.
I'll talk about it because I love dogs. I'm at an 84. I love this image, and I might have even been in the next category. The pearls, I wish they were just maybe a little more drooped down, but that's just minor. I love this image, so it's definitely, I could even be talked up into the next category.
Light on the rocks. $76.
I was right at a 76 on this one as well. Beautiful location, gorgeous place to go. I think this is a perfect example of a very good image, but from a competition standpoint, you got a lot of harsh shadows. It's obviously around high noon or somewhere around really harsh light. This is probably a location where morning or evening light, the golden hour in the morning, golden hour in the evening would be a spectacular image. But right now you've got really harsh light, not a whole lot of detail. I would also think if you want to use this one, think about cropping out some of the bottom part there. The people on the bottom of those rocks are a distraction. If you just go to just the rocks that have the lighthouse, that's to me a little more interesting crop and less distraction on the bottom because my eyes keep kind of bouncing around. But I recommend if you have a chance to reshoot this, or if you had some other shots that are closer to the golden hour, I think that's going to be much better lighting.
When I grow up. $79.
And I actually had this image at an 80. I love the composition of this. Her expression's good. The lighting is good on this. I like the color harmony as far as the matte and the keystroke on this. Some of the things that, the other judges may have kept it from going into the merit category, it's kind of heavy in the shadows, especially the vignette all the way around the image. So that just kind of it gives a heaviness to this very light-hearted moment. So that may be something that you can always, go back if you've vignetted it in Photoshop and go back and, bring some detail and some light back into some of those shadows.
Going back to what Jennifer had said on a previous image, maybe lessen the keystroke on there just a fuzz, but also how there is this image, you look at it from left to right, and then it puts, but then there's more room on the right side based on the composition. So I feel like it would look better to move it over, shift it to the right, and have her closer to the right side if she's not going to be in center, because I just think that would help it out and boost it a little bit more too.
To clarify, what Brent meant was to move the image on the mat more to the right, so she's got more room to look into.
Will you love me? $79.
And again, I had this right at an 80 as a merit. Love the title. It makes us giggle. Love the composition of this. You can see all the detail in their quills and everything. I like the presentation on this. Some of the things that, may have kept it from going up into the merit category. One of the keystrokes outside of that lighter one, that black one, isn't helping the image much. And then right behind this right-handed little porcupine is a light colored stroke that's like right almost above that porcupine that's really, really light and distracting. You could very easily tone that down and such a cute image.
Yeah, I probably was the one that kept it from meriting, and I love the image, but that bright spot, I kept bouncing to it. And then the edge of the chair there, it's kind of bright, and you know, I understand that it's out of focus because they're in focus, but the brightest spot is out of focus.
To infinity and beyond. $75.
And I was actually at a 73 on this image. You know, I like the color harmony again in this. I like the, you know, the red tones in the brick. The issues that this image has is it's got so much brightness down there at the bottom on the ground, and then you've got some really, really, really heavy shadows. And as much as I want to be drawn back there into whatever's in the background, I can't tell what is in the background. And then those heavy shadows and the lightness of this image just are very, very distracting.
And I want to say something because we're seeing a lot of cool images that are great places, but wow, if you just wait till the right time of day.
I am woman. $78.
All right, I'll talk about this one. I was right at 78 as well. It's a cool concept. I do like the initial impact. And the concept is well done, but there's just so much my eyes keep bouncing around to the out of focus items on the top of the sky. And also the tiger heads. Man, I like the concept, I like the echoing. I like the mirror image. I like mirror image and mirror image concepts. I've done some myself in the past. But I think there's just so much. We really need to pick a specific item you're going for. You're doing a lot of things here. You're doing the mirror flip. You're doing, looks like some grunge and some texture, and then also the orbs, the lights, whatever those are, the boke that's kind of out of focus in the front. My eye is kind of bouncing all around. I would kind of limit this down. I like the image. Maybe go with just the mirror image and maybe the texture as well, and kind of like toning down some of the other items because there's just so much going on. It's very distracting.
First light in the U.S. $75.
And I was right at a 75 on this image. You know, the sunrise is beautiful there. Some things that, you know, are keeping this image from going up into a higher category. The dark wispy clouds up in the top left of this image are just drawing me straight up there. I want to enjoy that blue sky and the sunset. And then right along the horizon line, there is some artifacts in there that I can see going along the horizon line, and then, you know, the trees and are blocked up black. So those technical things you just really have to watch out for in print competition.
Faded love. $78.
Okay, I'll talk about this one. I really enjoy this image and the beautiful subject. And I enjoy the matte and the key line stroke. The only I think this image is an example like that we talked about earlier today. This, to me, looks like a fine art image that would be beautiful printed on a fine art paper. Instead of doing a digital print, doing a actual physical print on a fine art paper with a fine art mat, I think would greatly help just boost it even farther.
Chasing cars. $78.
And I'm right at a 78 at this image. What a fun image. Cute expression, cute little puppy dog. Some things that are keeping this image with the impact that it has out of the merit category. You've got those really, really thick keystrokes. You might try flipping this image so that your light comes in over on the left-hand side. And then just make sure you've got some light in that, that tough guy's eyes, because they're really, really, really dark. And I want to see some light in there.
Remember when? $74.
I gave this an image of 76, which, given it the benefit of the doubt, it's a cool place, not the right time of day, and I would like for him to step back, I'm sure, unless there were other distracting things, because I do like the leading line that goes into the cabin, but I would like to see this, the cabin at a much greater distance away. But I do love the way it reads into the composition if there was a lot more space around it. Yeah, the golden hour, which you've heard Jonathan talk about, it's just that stuff like this, if you want it to really have impact, it needs to be done probably 30 minutes before sunset, and you're going to have a tripod and maybe even a cable release. But this is a great place. You definitely have to tone down that cooler on the porch or take it off. But it is a cool place, and
I'd kind of like to see this shot from a different angle.
Yeah, me too.
If it's over on the right-hand side, and maybe there's a meadow on the left. I don't know what's over there. For all we know, it could. I don't know. We don't know what's over there. But when Linda talks about the golden hour, this is for your outdoor subjects too, for your clients. You want them to be kissed by that light.
Yeah.
You want that to be golden and soft and beautiful.
And a lot of the problems people are doing with using this off-camera flash, and I've seen a lot of people do it very well, but you want to make it look natural, not so harsh that you can tell it's being lit artificially.
All right, judges, home stretch. Here we go. For me, $74.
And I rated a 74 on this image. Cute little expression, great sellable image. Mom loved it. The lighting on her is just a little bit too flat. She's got, some modeling, her shoulders are a little bit brighter than, her arms. Something else you have to watch as far as, especially I watch when I have a baby sitting on a chair or on the ground and they're wearing a tutu, that I make sure that I can see both feet and legs, because from my perspective right here looking at this, it just looks like she has one. And I always make sure, I pull that extra, that extra foot or other foot out so that you can see that.
Napoleon sounds fourth. $77.
And I was at a 76 on this image. Great expression on this chicken. I've never photographed chickens. I can't imagine how hard it is. I don't know what you did to get him to crow like that. Again, he's really, really tight in the frame. You want to give him a little bit of room to breathe. With him being on that black background, it just kind of looks like he's floating in the air. And then, you know, his, I don't quite know what to call that, claw, on my left, his right. I can't see any detail in there.
Now you get that chicken back in that rooster. I guess technically he's a rooster. You should get him in the studio. Brianne. $78.
And I write at a 78 on this image. I love, you know, her expression, the posing, you know, of her hands. The lighting that's coming in on her hand right there on her thumb is extremely bright. And, you know, her shoulder over here to the left, those are the brightest parts of this image. And they are drawing me away from her beautiful face. I like the direction of light, you know, on her face, but, you know, those little blown out places, you know, on there would keep this image from being in a merit category.
Ruby lips. $78.
Okay, I was right there with everyone else at a 78. A very beautiful image, and like we've said many times today, it's a very sellable image. I'm sure the client was very pleased with it. There is the subject's right arm is really splotchy, and then also there's almost like a slight haloing around that shoulder that's closest to the camera. There's just, you can see the trail of light going around. So I don't know if you could either burn that down further and then also clean up the splotchiness on the arm.
Cockeyed Ford. $78.
I was right there at a 78 on this one. Cool concept. I get the title, the lights. It's a cool image. It's a beautiful across the patina on the car. It's an interesting concept. My concern is just my eye is kind of going all around the image. I mean, I get it with the cockeyed lights, but there's no specific strict point of interest. I'm kind of going around looking at all the patina. I think maybe a little something different would be maybe to crop it in. So you got a lot on the top. You're kind of heavy. Get rid of some of that. Maybe a little bit more on the bottom and kind of focus in on it. That might help because you just got a lot of kind of black on the top and the bottom below the fender and up above where the windshield is. Maybe think about revisiting that. It would be kind of cool and maybe a panel. Of course, I kind of like panels, as you've heard. I've mentioned that a couple of times. But maybe that might be an interesting concept to. Oh, well, that's not good.
Oh, what?
It's reconnecting for some reason. Okay.
Let me try it. See.
I think it has to reconnect. But those are basically the end of my comments. Let me come up and see what's going on.
Let's see if it'll work. Oh, it's okay. You're right. Oh, you mean the webinar? Okay.
Reconnecting, reconnecting.
So they can't hear me either?
Nope.
Okay.
You watching it? Yeah,
Mhm.
see, it's stuck on the last.
What, here?
Yeah.
Okay.
There
Okay.
you go. All right.
But this. Do I have to?
Okay. Okay, you're back. Your next meet. There's your next. Okay.
Okay. All right. Hey, everybody. We're back. Sorry, we lost our connectivity in the venue for a second there. We've got 10 images to go, so judges' final rotation. And then what we'll do is I've been tracking our scores. So it'll just take me about 5 minutes after we finish the critique, the final critique. It'll just take me just about 5 minutes to double check everything, and we'll announce the awards. The winners will also get a really nice certificate that has the award-winning images on it. I'll get those mailed to you along with your prizes, and I'll let you know your prizes at the end too. So, and thank you so very much for listening. I know, some of you all having trouble. I know there's been some audio issues and things. This is a brand new software we're using. So we're kind of giving it a little bit of trial and make sure it'll work. So, all right, judges, are we ready? Your final 10. Here we go. Bum, bum, bum. And that's huge. Hold on. Dark clouds over Gethsemane. $78.
Yeah, I like the idea of this. I gave it a 78, but some of those bright spots coming through those trees could have been taken care of, and then the concrete wall down at the bottom, yeah, definitely had something going on there. It's kind of like outlined, kind of halo effect, don't you think, Jennifer? Yeah. So they're going to get you on that because it takes away from the impact because you run back down there. But I do like the idea of this.
Kiss me, darling. Go.
And I'm right at a 79 on this image. Love the composition on this. Love the expression, the love that you see in this image. Some things that can be revisited in this. There are some hot spots up at the top going through the groom's head, and then the bride's dress and veil are really, really bright, and then you've got that heavy vignette over on the leaves. But those are definitely something that you can go back and take care of.
Wish, image maker, that you had moved your subjects just a little further to the right so that that side of that building is not going directly into her head, but that's something that could possibly, with a little bit of work, be darkened down and dodged out a little bit. So, oh, sorry. Mm-hmm.
Most everybody has done it looks like 16 by 20
Mm-hmm.
on that light. I mean, that wasn't.
I think everyone has almost done a 16 by 20 inch format from the looks of it, and it's not necessary. As you don't have to. I think that used to be the rule with PPA, and only master photographers could do different sized images. And I feel like in this case, if it was more of a narrow shot, like I don't know, maybe like a 10 by 20 type deal. I don't know, just that the mat is so large versus the image. I almost feel like it's just distracting.
I'll wait downstream. $76.
And I gave this image a 76. I like the color harmony in this. I like the way the mat and the chair and the wall of this play off in color. I wasn't quite sure what was going on with the waterfall over here. It just seemed out of place. And then you've got the vines that are coming down that have the blue flowers that are very distracting to me.
Mesmerize. $79.
And I was right at a 79 on this image. I like the cool concept with the jewels on her face. I did something similar with my daughter a couple of weeks ago. I like the background and the lighting on her. Some things that are going to keep this from going into the merit category. Her hair is just so dark that we don't have any detail and highlights up there in her hair. And then to contrast that, down at the bottom, you've got this really bright white dress. So I'm bouncing back and forth between her hair and that brightness at the bottom, when really my focus wants to be right there in those beautiful eyes and that face.
Yeah, we both want to add a couple of things. I think this is a very well lit image. The gown is distracting to me because I'm bouncing back and forth. But if this is, if you could crop in on just that face, wow.
That's what I was going to say. Just crop to the top of that dress so you don't see any of the dress, and it's just her shoulders and her face because the lighting is beautiful on her face. I think it would score better. It would be right there.
Reflections in the dressing room. 80.
I really like this image. I was actually a 79, and here's a couple of things that cut me out. I think this one could definitely come up to the merit category very easily. One thing, like Brent said this a little while ago, limiting this from 16 by 20, or that perspective is really limiting the image. What I would recommend is cutting off basically the left side, maybe making it having more of the image on it than more of the mat, because it's really distracting to have that left part of the mat there. To me, I do like the composition. I like the way it's presented. It looks good and sharp, and it looks even better on the phone as well. I would also look and maybe see if there's a little more of the reflection. It'd be kind of cool if you had equal amounts of both, I think. I mean, once I see it, I may not like it as much. This may be the best, but I'd like to see what that would look like. I think if you trim it up, make it more of a vertical presentation versus kind of lopsided almost, I think it would be a much stronger image.
And one more note on this one, the top right-hand corner, it's got like a black part where it's gone off the background a little bit. You can very easily clone that back in, because that was just a little bit distracting up there, and that's an easy fix.
Stare into my eyes. $78.
And I had this image right at a 79. This is just a near miss for me. Some things that would help this image bring it up into the merit category. Try flipping the image so that we're not coming right into the back of her hair. Add that matte and that stroke line. Make sure that your whites are good, clean whites, and that you have detail in them. Again, it's really, really hard to tell on this projection, that there's detail in those whites. And then over on her shoulder, on her neck, above her hands, there's a vertical line that you can very easily take out.
Motorcycle parking only. $77.
And I'll talk about this image also. I was right at a 79 on this. Again, a near miss on that. As far as, an image like this, it's got so much reflection. It's very hard for your eye to find where it's going to fall. In it, the signage in the background is, very distracting. I think she's got some cool, leading lines, but there's just some very, very distracting elements. And again, it's really tight, on this, give it a bigger mat and give it a little bit more room to breathe.
A Kiss in the Rain. $78.
I was right at 78 on this one as well. Cool concept. I like it. It's a good capture. Again, we've talked a lot about good sellable image. The client loved it. I think what threw me off was the perspective. I mean, I know it's a perspective image, but it's a little overdone. I would look at maybe doing some lens correction. Might help this one, because there's just so much lens correction from her dress coming out. Remember, it's like a large bell to them, to the building up top. Maybe look at a little, somebody help me, the tool in Photoshop for the perspective correction where you can kind of skew it a little bit. Freeform skewing might help bring out just a little bit more and reduce a little bit of the perspective a little bit, because I do like the shooting up, but it's just a little too much. I also would think of maybe look at toning down some of that bright sky and also some of the steps on the bottom. If you need some of that, maybe cropping a little bit less of that. And also then the black matte. I would try some other colors in the matte. That may be the best color when you play around with it. You know, but like Linda said earlier, I try multiple colors, play around. We play with hue and saturation on the background a lot. Really kind of play with lots of different tones for a matte color. But I would play with that with perspective, especially on this one, I think.
It's getting sleepy. Hello. Ah, there we go. Butterfly Princess. $77.
I'm at a 76. It's a great little model, but you know, the brightest part, even on my phone, as small as it is that little piece of arm out there and her hand. And you know, for as precious as this little girl is and as beautiful, it makes her hand look very masculine the way it is the brightest part of the image.
Light morning fog. $76.
Okay, I'm right there at a 76. You know, I like the idea of this if you take away a couple inches on the top, a couple inches on the bottom, do some kind of technique, flip it, it might work. But that middle horizon line, it just takes away from images.
Now, Linda, I will say, just from having gone over these images, you know, your other one that you looked at, that was the redux with the retouching on that. Keep in mind that you can enter the same subject in Photo Pro Network print competition, but you can't enter the same image with a different treatment.
Yeah, and the
Okay.
treatment helped it before.
Yeah, definitely.
It
That's
definitely
the case where
did.
the heavier treatment definitely worked. for
But
it.
really, even that image, had it had a little taken off the bottom, some taken off the top, it might have been a strong image and flipped.
All right, judges, that is finished. Please give us just a couple of minutes just to, we actually have a tie for the top overall scoring images. So judges, you have to come up here and break a tie for us. So let's turn off our mics for just a second. Yeah, I'm going to keep the broadcast going, but we'll be back in just about 5 minutes, okay?
Stop the recording.
No, I don't want to keep All right, you guys, I'm back. Thank you so much.
I'm not transmitting.
Okay, hold on.
They don't hear you.
All right, you guys, we are back. We're going to make quick work of this because we have some people that have about a 3-hour drive, including us, back home tonight. Again, we have this recorded. I will send out the link and post it on our social media and on our webpage for you to be able to go back and look. We do have some great prizes to give away today. The overall winner will receive a complimentary print case fee for PhotoPro Expo 2017. And that means you can enter up to 10 of your prints free of charge. And you will be up. Remember, you do have to be a member to win any prizes today. We did double check, make sure everybody was winners, were members who are winning things. And then we'll send some more information about rules and regulations and all of that. So we're going to start with the wedding, and these are the highest scoring images in these categories. So I don't have names, and we'll get your certificates and everything, but I don't have names printed out, obviously, on the images and things like that. But we'll get that. We'll post those this week. We'll also just keep those up for not very long on the website because we want to be able to take those down pretty quickly because you might be entering them in PhotoPro, and that has your name associated with it. You might be entering them in PPA, so we like to kind of keep that a little bit anonymous here and there so that you're not, you don't want a conflict of interest. So, all right, we're going to start with our wedding image, and that winner will get a signature album from Miller's. I have a card for you. I'll drop this in the mail. It does expire at the end of November. It's a $250 value. We thought wedding photographers love to get wedding albums, so thank you to Miller's for this donation. Jennifer got this donation for us, so thank you very much. And your top wedding image was Sun-Kissed Bride by Andy Hoffman. Andy is out of Indianapolis, so thank you, Andy, and congratulations. Next, let me get here, crossing off my list as we're going here. Next is our best portrait. Best portrait winner will get a complimentary PhotoPro Network renewal membership. So we'll send you the certificate. That's a $79 value. So when you have to renew your membership, you can just send up a snapshot of that certificate, and we will file that for you complimentary. So save you a little bit of money there. And the best portrait goes to Such a Pretty Girl from Jen Hargrove. And Jen is a new member, and she is from LaBarge, Wyoming. So congratulations, Jen. Next, we have our illustrative, okay, and that certificate will go to, at the end of our expo, we always have a special class on Mondays. You will get a complimentary PhotoPro Expo Monday workshop entry fee, so you can come and enjoy that. If for some reason you can't come, let us know. We always are trying to help you out there, so we totally understand that. But your top illustrative, and that goes in our gallery. So for this, we don't do separate gallery and illustrative and landscapes. We just do a top overall gallery image, and that goes to Ron Jacobson for Smoke on the Horizon. And Ron is a member from Mayville, North Dakota. Wow, there's some great things going on out there. All right. Congratulations, Ron, and thank you so much. Then we have our best of show, which is your highest overall image. Now, we had a tie for that, so it had to be broken on judges' preference, which will happen at PhotoPro Network and all over the place. They have to usually judge on either a thumbs up or thumbs down, or sometimes they argue over it, and majority rules in that. So our overall best of show, they get a really great prize. Michael Novo, who is a dear friend of ours with PhotoPro Network, he lives in Chicago. He does a fantastic photography conference. It's called Out of Chicago. And this person who has the highest scoring image is going to get one free registration at any future Out of Chicago conference. That's up to a $300 value. We will certainly get this certificate mailed to you. The best of show, based on judges' preference, overall image, winning this is Jen Hargrove for A Dog's Life is a Rough Life. Congratulations, Jen. All right, I think you see a little bit of a trend here. You had to have at least 4 images to be eligible, and the top 4 highest scoring images by one image maker in their print case results in them being the Hot Shots Photographer of the Summer for 2016. I will post all 4 of this person's top images, but we have one of them right here. And so our hotshot photographer of 2016, brand new member of Photo Pro Network, again, is Jen Hargrove from LaBarge, Wyoming. So Jen, you get a complimentary print case for Expo 2017. So we thank you all so much. We did record this. We'll be posting it again soon. I'll also send out some information. If we do not have your email address, please certainly go onto the website and email either Jennifer Palumbo or myself via the, you can see our names on any kind of the print competition rules or the summer hot shots emails or the postings we've been sending out, or just message one of us on Facebook through Photo Pro Network. We want to get you on the mailing list to keep you in the know. So thank you all so much. Judges, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Also, a special thank you to Denisha Osborne, our board member, who put all this together for us here in Pikeville. Her sister Kayla, who's the event coordinator, and their mom Holly, their dad Jim. Just a great group of people. Thank you so much, and we hope you have a great evening.